Hi, I'm Toya Brasky from Galveston, Texas. Well, today I got quite a shock. I thought that I only had a gynecological exam today, and I haven't actually had a gynecological exam in over 40 years. I'm not a person that goes to the doctor, but I had made an appointment because I had a few issues that I wanted to check out. And so I thought I was just going for my standard gynecological pap smear and breast exam today. But about a week ago, excuse me while I try to reposition myself here. Okay. So about 1 week ago, I had told my primary care doctor that I have been menopausal since I was 35. I'm now 61. And in the past year, I've had some issues with vaginal bleeding. And I felt like there was a reason that I wanted to request for her to do a pelvis transvaginal ultrasound. I just felt in my spirit that there is something wrong. I can feel it. I feel like this heaviness in my uterus that I just couldn't explain. Plus, I have vaginal bleeding, and that's not normal for a postmenopausal woman. So, at the same time that I'm going through all of that, in the last month or so, I went to the doctor because I was having leakage out of the center of my sternum. I have mastectomy implants that were put in my body when I was in my 20s. And I've had them in my body for over 40 years. I noticed that there was a leakage coming from my chest, and I suspected that probably the mastectomy implants have ruptured. I was correct. They did a breast MRI. That was also followed by a tomosynthesis, which is a 3D mammogram, and also a breast ultrasound. Now, it did find that both mastectomy implants that were put in my breast for symmetry after lumpectomies in my 20s, that both mastectomy implants have ruptured. They were silicone. There is silicone leaking into my chest. And even though I didn't have an open lesion on my chest and there was no leakage out of my breast, there was a leakage through my sternum. So all of the scans that they did of my breast, the breast MRI, the 3D mammogram, and the ultrasound revealed that I have multiple masses in my breast, additional to the ruptured implants. My mother is a breast cancer survivor, so of course this is a great concern to me and to my doctors. But also in my family, we have a history of fibrocystic disease of the breast. So there's a strong possibility that my breast could be just full of fibrocystic, benign masses. There are 5 of us children in the family. Both my brothers and my sisters, we all had breast masses. So the findings of my scans showed multiple types of masses. Some were round, like benign findings. Some looked exactly like cysts. They were solid black in the ultrasound. Some were labeled BIRAD 4 because they were slightly irregular. but the majority were labeled as BI-RAD 3. That is a scale for ultrasound technicians to kind of say whether or not they suspect or don't suspect cancer. So there is a scale from 1 to 6. So 3 would mean probably not cancer, but suspicious enough that we should do a biopsy or we should recheck this. BI-RAD 4 would mean a low possibility of carcinoma to a high possibility of malignancy. So they labeled most of mine BI-RAD 3, but there were a couple that were labeled BI-RAD 4. I still have not had that biopsy yet. Now, I thought that it was going to go this way. I thought I have my biopsy scheduled for April the 28th. Now, that is the second time that they scheduled me, because the first time that they scheduled me for a biopsy, they didn't tell me that I needed to put $1,000 down. I showed up for my biopsy earlier this month, and then I had to walk away because I didn't have $1,000 to put down. No one had informed me, so they said that they would not treat me if I could not put down the $1,000. So I had to wait for my procedure until I felt like I could afford another down payment or another payday before I could have the breast biopsy. So in the interim, I ended up having my pelvis transvaginal ultrasound. Now, I was the one that requested this. I requested it from my primary care physician. At first, she turned me down and she said, "That's not my field, that's gynecology, that's not something I do." And I told her, I said, "No," I said, "I have so much anxiety. I really have a lot of anxiety about this. Number one, I've been watching the new presidential administration cancel several government programs. I'm no longer a state worker, even though I was a government employee most of my life. In 2023, I stopped working for the state of Texas. I no longer have state insurance. So I said my current employer did not offer me health care benefits. So I had to get healthcare.gov. I'm so worried and so concerned as they're cutting things like Social Security, veteran benefits, things like that, that they could also decide to cut healthcare.gov. And then if I do have cancer, I would end up dying because there's no other way for me to get care at this time. And I told her, I said, "I'm so worried that I can't sleep at night. I'm worried because I need help and I feel like there is something wrong. This time I really feel it." Also, over the past year, as a psychic, I hear spirit voices. I record them. I do actual electronic voice phenomenon of disembodied spirits. Spirits have told me over 75 times in EVPs, "You have cancer and you better take it seriously. We see the cancer. How can you live with the cancer? It looks like cancer." They keep telling me over and over, "You're going to be diagnosed with cancer and you're going to be hospitalized." 75 different EVPs. Now, sometimes spirits do forewarn you. They can see things that we don't see. And they could mean well by trying to get me to the doctor. They've said that, go to the doctor. They know that I'm not a person that goes to the doctor. They kept telling me, "Go to the doctor, you need to go to the doctor." I even had the EVPs of doctors, spirits of doctors, say, "I'm a doctor. I'm telling you, Toya, go to the doctor." So this prompted me to want to challenge the EVPs and to find out, are spirits telling me the truth? Now, I want to tell you also, as a psychic, there are malicious spirits that will lie to you, demonic spirits, even prankster spirits that will try to worry you sick. They will tell you absolute lies to try to upset you, to worry you, to cause stress for you. So I kept in mind that spirits could also be lying to me, that there could be no cancer whatsoever, but their intent is to scare you. Spirits like that do exist. They absolutely do. Don't let anyone tell you that all spirits are nice and all spirits are good. They're not. But then on the flip side of that, there are good spirits that'll be like, look, we're trying to save you. Go to the doctor. We see the cancer in your body. You do have cancer. We're letting you know ahead of time. We're preparing you. And I've always thought that I'm doing this work to help others. But it occurred to me the other night, what if spirits had been appearing to me so heavily and given me so many EVPs because they're preparing me for what's coming? Do I have something that is terminal? If so, I'm not worried about death in any way. I know that there's an afterlife. It would not concern me at all if tomorrow they said, Miss Bresky, you have stage 4. We can't treat you. You're going to die. Well, you know what? I would try to treat myself. I would try to treat myself with fenbendazole, ivermectin, maybe cannabis oil if I moved to another state. I would just live my life. It wouldn't be that great shock to me and sadness like everybody else would feel. I know that there's an afterlife, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about being diagnosed with cancer and that in America we do not have universal health care. And I don't think that I would be able to afford this. Like, already, every test that I've had to put up several $100s before every test, even with insurance, because there's deductibles, there's co-pays. Even after I've met my deductible, before I can have my breast biopsy, they want $1,500. $1,500. Now, I used to make over $4,000 a month, and I used to get an additional $800 on top of that $4,000 for my fully paid medical benefits as a government employee. But now I'm no longer a government employee. I'm only bringing home after taxes $2,200 per month. So imagine that throughout March and April, out of my $2,200, I've paid $1,500 a month or more in deductibles, doctor visits, co-pays, because the hospital nowadays will not treat you if you cannot afford your portion of the financial responsibility. Now, there's also an out-of-pocket on my insurance, what the insurance doesn't cover, that has to be covered before the insurance kicks in to pay their full amount. So I'm already going bankrupt in the last 2 months. March and April, I've been back and forth to the hospital, back and forth to the doctor. I did not expect this. I did not plan on being sick or having to go through such serious procedures. So it's been very stressful for me. Thank God I've had the grace of my landlady, who's in her 90s. She knows that I'm sick, and she said, you know, Toya, you are a wonderful person. I know her entire family. I've worked with her nieces and nephews. She said, "You are a wonderful person. We trust each other. Why don't you pay your rent at the end of the month instead of the first of the month so that you can get caught up and so that you can afford to have these procedures?" I'm forever grateful to her, because I don't think that I could have made it. I either would have had to turn down my procedures and not get help, if I would have had to pay rent at the first of the month. It's not right. I think that there are 78 countries that have universal health care in this world on earth. And it's really sad to me that I live in America, and still to this day, if you don't have money, you don't get treated. Or you go bankrupt because of one illness. This is just not right. I wanted to tell you what the procedure was like. First of all, they tricked me. I thought I was just going for my gynecological exam today. I thought I was going to have my breast examined, and I thought I was going to have a pap smear. I haven't had a pap smear in over 40 years because I just don't go to the doctor. I haven't been sexually active in 17 years. So when I had my transvaginal exam about a week ago, nothing had been in my vagina for over 17 years. So the probe of the transvaginal the diameter of the transvaginal probe is less than 1 inch in girth. It's about 7/8 of an inch. But because nothing has been in my vagina for 17 years, I had some vaginal atrophy because of that. And I also have vaginal atrophy because I'm postmenopausal. So what vaginal atrophy is the vagina is kind of a elastic tube. And if you are not sexually active for several years, it will atrophy, meaning that it shrinks in length and also diameter. It actually shrinks up. And the same happens if you're menopausal. So I have both issues going on. So it has atrophied quite a bit. So even to insert 7/8 of an inch in diameter into my vagina, it was very uncomfortable and painful. I actually winced, like, it was very uncomfortable to open me up. So today I knew that I had my first gynecological exam in 40 years. I only had one pap smear when I was in my 20s, and then I never went back to the doctor after that because I really wasn't ever really sexually active a lot, and I never had any issues or anything like that until maybe the past year or so. So today when I went for my gynecological exam, I purposely asked them, to be sensitive to the fact that I have vaginal atrophy, meaning that my vagina is shrunk up really small. So I asked them to use the smallest speculum that they have, and they actually did. They used a very tiny one. It almost looked like a kid-size speculum. And a speculum is that kind of duckbill thing that, kind of opens like this. And so they insert it and then they open you up. So I thought that was the only reason I was there, just for the pap smear today and the breast exam. But as I got there, it turned more serious. They said, no, actually, because of your transvaginal results being abnormal, the lining of a postmenopausal woman should never be over 4 millimeters. The lining of your uterus is 9 millimeters, which is very abnormal, and it means that it has a strong overgrowth of the lining of the tissue in your uterus. You also have vaginal bleeding, which is abnormal for a postmenopausal woman. So we want to do the uterine biopsy today, ASAP now. Oh my gosh. I was hyperventilating because I was not ready to have a biopsy today. I had no idea what the procedure was going to be like. So they explained to me that they would open me up. They would first do the pap smear, and they would scrape my cervix, which is like a round ball at the end of your, like in your vagina tube. It's the beginning opening of your uterus. Now, nothing has ever penetrated my cervix or my uterus because I've never been pregnant. I've never had anything like that done. So they told me that they were going to have to dilate my cervix. I've never had that done. She said, when I dilate your cervix, you are going to feel cramping. And then I'm going to have to take this pipette. I'm going to have to push it through that tiny little pinhole that is in the cervix. I'm going to have to push it through that. There are 2 doors that I have to get through. First, the outer opening, and then there's another door on the inside of that we have to push a little bit harder to get through. There are risks with that. There are risks of infection, risk of bleeding, risk of severe cramping. Once I get inside there, I will take out tissue, which is pinching the tissue out with a pipette. And you are going to feel cramping. Take a very deep breath. So I was already trembling. I was scared. As soon as they started dilating my cervix, which means opening that little tiny pinhole to a larger size, I've never been dilated. I felt immediate cramping. They do not use a topical anesthetic. They do not relax the muscles of your uterus. There is no pain relief given before the procedure. So once they dilated me, I felt immediate, like your whole stomach just cramps up, like you can feel like it is strong pain. I'm not going to lie about it. And then she told me I'm going to try to push through the cervix, and I could feel the pressure of that. And then it felt like I felt some penetration of that. And then she said, well, I've got to get through the second door, and I will have to push harder to get through that. You're going to feel it. And I mean, I really felt it. Like, I don't think I've ever had a menstrual cramp that strong before, and I've had some pretty strong menstrual cramps in my life. It was the type of cramping where you were absolutely like holding on to the side of the rails of the bed, and you're holding your breath because the cramping is really strong. So she got in there and she started pinching out tissue, and then they put it on the slide, and then she said, well, wait a minute. She said, I'm going to take out the speculum. And she said, I was thinking that I would rather be safe and know that we got enough tissue in this biopsy today so that we don't have to come back and call you back for another biopsy. Would you mind if I go in a second time? So I thought about it, and I said, well, my God, I do not want to go through another uterine biopsy like this. I don't want to have to come back. So I told her, okay, go ahead. So she penetrated me again with the pipette, pushed through the wall again, took out several other pinches of tissue, put it on a slide, and then she said, okay, I'm going to remove the speculum from your vagina. I'm going to let you know that you're going to probably have cramps throughout the rest of the day. And she wasn't lying. I've been home for several hours. I've had cramping nonstop. Just, my uterus is just like a constant, like, ew, ew, ew. Like, I can't even imagine what other women have gone through if you've ever been dilated or if you've ever had other procedures of the uterus or in labor, because just this uterine biopsy was very painful. It was very uncomfortable. I wasn't given any pain medication to take when I got home. So I called my sister, and my sister said, don't take aspirin because you're already bleeding from the biopsy, and that wouldn't be a good thing to do. The only thing you can do is take Tylenol. You're probably going to cramp until, throughout the day and maybe a little bit tomorrow, but it'll get better. I wonder why so many women are given procedures like this and not given topical anesthetic at least. What would it hurt to put lidocaine into the vagina, onto the cervix, maybe even in the uterus, or be given a drug to relax the uterus so that it doesn't have constant cramping, so that it would make this procedure a little bit more pleasant. Now, the procedure was absolutely just very uncomfortable and painful, like I said. But the staff was really wonderful. I will say that. I've been really pleased with the staff at University of Texas Medical Branch. They've been very caring and very understanding and so thorough in the way that they explain things to me. The lady who I saw today was not my gynecological physician, which is a woman. I requested to see women, not men, because I just feel like a man does not fully understand what a woman feels. And also for modesty, I would like to see women. So they had called me and told me that the gynecologist had canceled, and this is her second time canceling her appointment with me because of other things on her schedule. So they had told me that I could either see a male physician there or I could see a nurse practitioner. So I picked the nurse practitioner because she's female. She turned out to be so wonderful. I mean, I felt so comfortable with her. She explained every single thing about the procedure, about the lining of my uterus. So what is going to happen is, regardless of whether or not this is benign or cancerous, I will still have to have a major procedure to correct the lining of my uterus. So apparently, if it's benign, I will have a surgery where they go in there and they will remove the lining of my uterus, either scrape it out or burn it out or something like that. I will have anesthesia for that day. It's a day surgery. If it is cancer, I'm not prepared for that. I don't even know. I don't even want to know yet what is going to happen. They said that the results of my biopsy today will not be back for 5 to 7 days. So I don't know anything for a good week. Now, immediately after that, on the 28th, I have my breast biopsies. I thought it would be the other way around. I would have my breast biopsy, get the news from that, and then a month later go do my uterine biopsy. But it looks like I'm going to be finding out the results of both by the end of April or early first week of May. I'll find out the results of both the biopsies, my breast and my uterine biopsy. I'm worried. I haven't been sleeping. I've been filled with anxiety because of financial issues, trying to pay for all of these hospital visits, because of the concern of having to go through any surgery at all, whether it's benign or cancerous. The worry of knowing that cancer runs in my family, and if it turns out to be cancer, what does that mean for my life, for my future romances? All of those things are going through my head. So I've just been inundated with extreme stress and anxiety. I still have to go to work every day because I can't afford to take even a day off. I really cannot. So regardless of whether I'm cramping, whether I'm sick, whether there's silicone leaking in my body, I still show up at work every day. That's the reality of living in America and having health care issues, not having universal health care, and being scared to take even one day off. I hope that this helps somebody to hear the story, to know to be prepared. I'm not going to sugarcoat. A uterine biopsy is very uncomfortable. I wish that I would have been offered topical anesthetic. I wish that they would have given me muscle relaxers to relax my uterus from cramping, but it wasn't given to me. I don't know what else to say other than that. I just want to share my experiences with you to let you know that in real life, the people that you think have such a wonderful life and don't have any cares in the world probably do. They just don't share them publicly like I do. I'm kind of the kind of person that I'm like an open book. I would rather share things with you and let you know real life issues. I'm just real like that. I hope that I'm not too graphic in the way that I explain things. Also, it's very interesting to me, like I said, spirits have been telling me, they've given me over 75 EVPs that have said, you have cancer and you better take it seriously. We see the cancer. How can you live with the cancer? You will be diagnosed with cancer and you're going to be hospitalized. Now, as a psychic, I know there are great, good spirits that do forewarn us. They try to prepare you for things that are coming that they see. They tell me all sorts of things. They tell me when people lie to me. They tell me who's deceiving me and who's not deceiving me. I have learned so much from spirits. But I want to tell you that there are also demonic spirits that absolutely mean you harm. They will lie to you. They will tell you everything they can possibly say. In EVPs, they have told me things like, you're going to die. You have cancer and you're going to die this summer. You only have until this summer. I mean, really terrible things, and none of it may be true. Absolutely, it could be prankster spirits. They love to tell you anything that's a lie just to see what they can do to you. But then it also could be the truth. So it'll be very interesting, and I'll let you know. I've posted some of those EVPs on my page so that you could hear the spirit saying it's cancer. It looks like cancer. I haven't posted all of them, and some of them are so scary that I didn't post them. But anyway, I hope that I've helped you in some way to know what to be prepared for in case you also have to go through the same procedures. All of my procedures, I have made short videos or long videos, more like long ones because I talk too much. I have made videos about them. You can scroll through my page either on Facebook or on X, and I explain every procedure I've went through in detail. So anyway, I am going to end this video, go eat something for the first time today, go relax and try to get rid of these cramps that I have and hope that they get better. Maybe a heating pad will help with that. I'm not sure. But anyway, bye.